Hi, my name is Kunal, and welcome to the Geeks of the Valley podcast, which connects with some of the brightest minds globally who are leading their respective industries today to discuss the hottest upcoming industry trends and how their work is affecting the global economy. This morning, from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, we have a very special guest joining us, the founder of FinTech Lab, a board member on Malaysia's External Trade Development Corporation, and the general partner and co-founder of Ficus VC. Please welcome Miss Rina Neoh. Rina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And how are things in light of COVID in Malaysia?
Well, things are getting better. We have actually lifted some of the restrictions. People are going out and doing things like the new normal. It's never going to be the previous normal, but things are doing fine. I think Malaysia has probably one of the lowest cases and mortality rate in Asia. There are challenges. Many of my friends' little businesses are closing down, and even some of the bigger boys are finding it difficult. But I think this will also pass, but perhaps not so soon in the next 12 or 24 months, I think. Yeah, but I personally, I'm doing okay. Just a little bit, it just needs maybe some time to adjust to not being able to go out, but we are all now so familiar with Zoom, so it does sort of help some countries which are not so advanced adopt digital economy. So hawkers and small businesses are learning to do Facebook stream online, even so that's a good thing, because previously government, especially Malaysia government, is trying very hard to get these small micro entrepreneurs to go digital. But I think when you don't have a choice, then you got to just do it. So I think there are some good things that come out of these COVID challenges as well.
I'm happy to hear that both hawker centers and kopitiams, right, are the lifeblood of both Malaysia and Singapore.
Yes. I mean, nasi lemak can be delivered to your doorstep. I mean, that's something that I'm quite happy about. I don't have to go out and queue for the nasi lemak and the yummy food.
No, right. So let's jump into the first question here, shall we?
Sure.
Tell me about yourself and your background and how it led you to the path of becoming a venture capitalist.
So I'm Malaysian, but I have actually spent most of my adult life and career in Singapore and around the Asian country, but Singapore has been predominantly my base. I come from a beautiful island called Penang, famous for food as well. Had my earlier education in Penang, and then I've got my first degree in computer science. Decided to work in Singapore because I wanted to be in a first world country where there are more opportunities, especially in the industry that I'm in, computer science. So Singapore is the perfect choice, no brainer, because it's close to Malaysia. And those days, 20 over years ago, we used to take bus, because there were no, flights. There were not so many frequent flights, and flights were very expensive. So my earlier days were working with MNCs, big IT firms, but I didn't really like the structured way of doing things. Perhaps because my childhood was really not very structured. So I started, selling things as kids. So you can say that I'm a kidspreneur, but those days we don't have those terms. I started selling things around my neighborhood just because I needed to help the family financials. And I've done, many types of different part-time jobs along the way. So that actually gave me lots of experience in understanding little businesses. So until today, I'm very passionate about micro SMEs and, businesses run by women. So when I started my first career in Singapore, 2-3 years with the big IT firms, I decided that I wanted to do something different. So I joined a small startup, and I was very fortunate that that particular startup went on to to list in Australian Stock Exchange. And the pioneer team became a little millionaire at those days. It was a very interesting experience for me. But after the listings, things started to look a bit ugly. There were bought fights, and eventually the company got listed, and I ended up, starting Mercatus Capital with the chairman of this particular company. That's how my sort of faith with investments and VC started. So we started Mercatus Capital in 2006. It was basically 5 of us starting to invest our little money in startups. And we found that we are actually more than just investors, obviously value-added investors. That particular journey, about 10 years, saw us listing another 2 companies in Australian Stock Exchange as well. So it's been a very roller coaster ride for me. We have lost a lot of money. We also make good money. So that sort of summarizes how I accidentally end up being an investor and a VC.
Wow, Rina, all the way from a kidspreneur, right? Maybe you can coin that term someday.
Yeah.
To selling off massive companies, that's huge. And now currently you're managing Ficus VC. You're the co-founder, managing partner of the fund.
Yes.
What is the fund's investment philosophy, and what is your ticket size?
Okay, so Ficus started because Ficus is actually a tree like sequoia. So we thought, we'll just follow those VCs that has got really good names and good feng shui. So Ficus is a type of tree. And we then realized that there were actually 5 of us. So someone said, there are 5 of us, you guys are 5 and your co-founders. Is that why you call it Ficus? I said, yeah, maybe so. So all of us are Malaysian, and we have individually, have got our own career and track record. So myself, I would say, I'm still very much an entrepreneur. That's like in my genes. I love building companies, and lucky enough to have some good breaks and good exits, so I could invest in the dreams of other people. My other co-founder, Baiza is a good friend, long-time friend whom I know because we were doing some sukuk financing. He is sort of one of Malaysia's best guy to go to if you need, to issue any structures in Islamic finance. Baiza was previously, before we decided to start Ficus, he was the managing director for Maybank Private Equity. So there is a private equity guy in our team. We have Sui Yong. Sui Yong is an investor, entrepreneur like myself, and his track record was actually listing a company in Malaysia at the age of 26, and perhaps, in the record, he probably returned the most, RI to MAVCAP those days, the investment company that put in money in his company. So Sui Yong went on to basically do a lot of great things, investing in Malaysian startups and helping, I think he's a very hands-on guy. So he helped all those companies that he invests in. They have very good track record and exit. So there are 2 of us who are angel investors, entrepreneur in the team. Then we have another partner, Hidayat, who is very familiar with Shariah-compliant law. He was working with one of the bigger funds, PNB, those days. And then finally, our leader, chairman, Azamin, the leader of the pack, used to be CEOs of various banks, and his last position was group CEO of Maybank Asset Management. So why 5 of us, and why we decided to come together? A few things. First, we felt that there was a gap in the VC ecosystem in Malaysia. There are VCs in Malaysia, but predominantly they are foreign VCs setting up shops in Malaysia. Secondly, over the years, we felt that the local VCs are very local, and now ASEAN is the place. So you need to have network around Asia for us to basically, help the companies that we invest in Malaysia to go out of Malaysia and vice versa. So with us having a very good network around Asia, I think that's one USP that we have. Secondly, all of us are not first-time, investors or fresh graduates with Ivy League universities that decided to be in VC. We have, lost money. We have, made money, and that kind of experience, collectively sets us apart from, the other VCs. I mean, VCs are very competitive market as well. We are all chasing the same deal. Of course, we collaborate as well. And I think that should be the way, because for Ficus, we know where our strength is. We are basically people, in the team. So Yong and myself, we invest personally our own money as angels. And then we are able to sniff out ideas, help them, become a startup. And then we have people there who could help with the scale up, the M&A, the listing work. So there's like a holistic team working with the startups as well. So that's where we see that, where our USP is. In terms of ticket size, we invest between 1 million ringgit up to 2.5, 3 million, depends on the deal structures. So, for example, Ficus, we would concentrate more on seed and pre-seed, but we do have an allocation for pre-IPOs, because you just have to balance your portfolio. In terms of industry, we like tech, just because Swee Yong and myself, who are the hunter for deals, we are very familiar with the tech industry. But Malaysia, because of our geography and all this, we see a lot of agri-tech as well. And of course, in FMCG. But if we were to invest in FMCG, it has to be tech-enabled. Right. So if I were to invest in a nasi lemak stall, I need to a nasi lemak brand. I need to be able to see that the nasi lemak brand uses, technology, and this brand can actually be, delivered all over the world. So that will be our investment philosophy, and the industry that we focus on.
Rina, that's very, very interesting. I mean, for most of these VC teams that you kind of see out there, right? They don't have that diversity from early stage to growth equity to private equity, right? And
yes,
you guys are that one-stop shop in a way. So very, very interesting.
Yeah, it comes with age, I guess. So all of us are like in our early 40s, and the chairman is in his 50s. So we specifically, we are friends to start with, and we know each other's strength. I think, in every company, and I considered ourselves a new startup as well, because this is our new venture fund. But all of us have got different strength, different network, and most importantly, we know that we can work together, and that's very important, because you can be managing, a 100 million fund, but the team, working together is, there is no synergy. Then I think it's quite, stressful as well, right?
No, right. I can't agree more with that. When it comes to this, you said 1 mil to 2.5 million ringgit, right? So that, just for the listeners out there, that converts to, that's between 230,000 to 600,000 USD, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So moving on to our next question.
Mm-hmm.
You're also the co-founder of FinTech Lab and a training accelerator in Malaysia.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about this experience and how it has helped you shape the local startup environment within the country?
Okay, so Malaysia is, I think the startups or the founders in Malaysia, they are pretty lucky. I mean, Malaysia is one of the countries